Standing with the poor, taking a stand against disparity. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Gary. Thank you so much for giving me part of your time to go on this learning journey as we continue and bring to a close today our examination of fasting. Keep in mind, we've only scratched the surface in this discipline, but I believe it's sufficient to get you moving in the direction of practicing spiritual disciplines. In the previous shortcast, we focused upon Isaiah 58, verses 1 through 12. I would encourage you to go back and review that shortcast pertaining to that passage. St. Augustine's commentary on Isaiah says, "Break your bread for those who are hungry," said Isaiah. "Do not believe that fasting suffices. Fasting chastises you, but it does not refresh the other. Do you wish to pray to reach God? Give it two wings, fasting and almsgiving." The Shepherd of Hermas wrote within a couple of decades of Revelation, and it was considered for canonization into the Scripture, says this: "Estimate the cost of the food you would have eaten on that day, and give that amount to a widow, orphan, or someone in need. Be humble in this way, that the one who receives something because of your humility may fill his soul and pray to the Lord for you." St. Gregory of Nyssa stated to give to the hungry what you deny for your own appetite. Caesarius of Aurelius in France stated, "Let us fast in such a way that we lavish our lunches upon the poor so that they may not store up in our purses what we intended to eat, but rather in the stomachs of the poor." We cannot separate our service of God and care for our neighbor. Now, let that sink in just a moment. We cannot separate our service of God and care for our neighbor. I want to consider three things here in this teaching moment. First of all, to stand in solidarity with hungry. You might want to stand in solidarity with the hungry by preparing a meal once per week of just rice and beans. This is perhaps what the majority of the world around the globe eats on any given day, or some slight variation of that. Secondly, to share what we have with the needy, resources and time. Dorothy Day, a Bohemian radical follower of Christ and founder of the Catholic Worker Union in the 1940s, says, "How shall we have the means to help our brother who is in need? We can do without those unnecessary things which becomes habits: cigarettes, liquor, coffee, tea, candy, sodas, soft drinks, and those foods at meals that only titillate the palate. We all have these habits, the youngest and the oldest, and we must die to ourselves in order to live. We must put off the old man and put on Christ." In 1 John 3:16 through 18, it reads, "We know love by this, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brethren. But whoever has the world's goods and sees his neighbor in need and closes his heart against him, how does the love of God abide in him? Little children, let us not love with word or with tongue, but in deed and truth." And André Trocmé, a rural French minister during World War II, when Hitler invaded their community, he had got his whole village to welcome in the Jews that were seeking asylum into their homes as family. When the Gestapo came looking for Jews in plain sight, they stated these are families. The Gestapo could not tell the difference. The village saved 5,000 Jews from death. This village pastor stated, look hard for ways to make little moves against destructiveness. And then thirdly, to stand against evil and injustice. Principalities and powers that operate behind scenes must be dealt with by prayer and fasting. St. Gregory the Great stated, it is impossible to engage in spiritual conflict without the previous subjugation of the appetite. This is not about investment, but divestment, receiving and growing, but giving away. Modesty in eating, fasting, and then feasting. That was the pattern of early Christianity for hundreds of years. Marva Jones, a Canadian, states, Americans do not know how to feast because they do not know how to fast. Especially if we fast on behalf of those who do not have enough and share our plenty with them, our feasting will be much more delightful. Fasting is temporary, but feasting is eternal. The Bible begins with what some have called a fast in Genesis 2:16 and 17. The Lord commanded the man, saying, from any tree of the garden you may eat freely, but from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat from it you will surely die. The Bible ends in Revelation 22, verses 1 through 5, with the river of the water of life as clear as crystal, and the tree of life with 12 kinds of fruit. No more suffering, standing in solidarity with the poor, no more injustice, feasting for time and eternity. Thank you so much for giving me a few moments of your time as we wrap up this series on fasting by standing with the poor. If you would be so kind, would you share this content on your social platform and let others know about this learning opportunity so we can grow together in community? I would be so grateful for that. And until we can meet again, we bid you Godspeed. Bye for now.